This meeting is being recorded.
Well, hello, lovely beings. I would love to see you put in where you're coming from today and what your word is. Gosh darn it. What's your word for Simona? Oh, welcome. Muchas gracias for being here. Yay. We've got the Philippines. So good. We've got Costa Rica. So far, everywhere with the Spanish influence. Let's see. Love that. We're in Arizona. I love it. Dana Point, Calgary, yay. Minnesota, Toronto and Trust. David Cohen, gosh darn it, I'm so happy you're here. Katarina, you are in Estonia, way over on the other side of the world from us, over here. And then we've got Ekaterina in Romania. You guys are neighbors with almost the same name, for goodness sakes. Faye, no way. You're here from Oshawa. You made it back from Jamaica. I hope you're okay. So, Faye was in Jamaica when that hurricane hit. Can you imagine? Doug, so happy that you're here from, I always think it's accidental California. You know what I'm saying? But it's Occidental. So, England, Caroline, so glad that you're here. We've got quite the international crowd today, my goodness. We've got Germany, we've got all over. I see a couple of, I think that's Ontario, Canada. So, and freezing cold Minnesota. You're up where Amy is. And cozy in Colorado. Great. Well, everyone, if you can put in where you're hailing from and your word for the day, that would be great. All right. I want to set the stage for our masterclass today. First of all, our mistress of ceremonies is Sonia over there in Costa Rica. Wave to everybody, Sonia. And do you want to put us all on gallery view, Sonia, so that everyone can see each other? Hey, you guys. So, yeah, just great to be here together. I'm just so happy that we're able to be here together. There's a couple of just normal everyday requests that I have. One is we're going to be going through things and then I'll have a few moments for some questions every 15, 20 minutes or so. So when we do, it really helps me to be able to see you and it also helps everyone else to be able to see you. So if you can do that, and I understand if you absolutely cannot, it's all good. It happens. It's the way it is. But it allows me to actually be present to who you are, and I'm always looking at the group. So and we're gonna have people join us on and off. So just know that, and thank you, Sonia, for being on top of letting people in. Okay. So the next thing is my ask about this particular program, because this particular program is about evolutions. It's not about how to flow. You'll notice we didn't say the workshop is about flow. It's actually about how the way we flow evolves over time, and specifically how flow is evolving from this year to next year and what is the difference. By the time we finish today, you will be very clear on the catalysts for absolutely why we need to embody different innate abilities for next year because it's going to require a different you. And then you will be somewhat clear. You will be clear on a chunk of abilities that we need to embody that we've never experienced before. And then the last thing is you're going to get clear on what it's going to take to flourish through 2026, but also I would say what it's going to take to flourish through the next many decades. Only because everything is changing so fast that this 2025 to 2026 year, which some people using numbers say that it's a year of one, it's a new beginning. It really is a new beginning, quite frankly, because the skills and operating system for next year is something that we haven't fully communicated yet that we're going to communicate today and then assist you to embody through our program Reset and Renew. But we are setting the stage, we're calibrating to what we're going to be doing in our, let's say, over the new year program. So it's really going to help you to open the door to what it's going to take to flourish through, not just survive, not interested. So for those of you that are new, we're not interested in surviving next year. Does anyone just want to survive? Anyone? I'm just checking in. No? Okay. So we're going to also dive in a way. Gosh darn it, David Cohen. I cannot even tell you how happy I am to see your face. I haven't seen David in a long time. So the thing is, we're going to base because the evolutions for even spirituality, becoming, and personal development are now leaning towards evolutions that have to be based on quantum physics. Just like we're moving towards quantum computers, it is going to require that we develop the thinking and the operating system that's sort of a quantum way of being. I'm not talking about computers. I'm talking about understanding the laws of physics so that the physics of spirituality now matters than the mental part of spirituality or the doing it right or the kind of new agey paradigms. By the way, fantastic, but they got us here. We're in a different mode now. How many people can already feel that the old ways aren't working anymore? Anyone got that? Like the stuff you used to do doesn't work. Type in. I'd love to hear from you. Just type in. For those of you that are just joining us, make sure you say where you're from and give us a word. Um, and so, Lisa, I'm glad that your cat is home from the hospital too. If you can type into the chat, you guys, what are some of the tools that you're noticing aren't quite getting you to a place of being an overflow of all things desired anymore? I can tell you right now that I already wasn't a great meditator. I needed to be in action, but at this point, uh, I need a different form of meditation. It's just, it's just an interesting time. Money isn't the same. Totally, thoroughly agree with that. Yeah. Here's another one that your life cannot be about you alone anymore. Lone wolfing it, those times are over, my friends. How many people have noticed that? Doing it alone, it's like overrated at this point. Not only is it overrated, it won't even work. So, Robert, you getting that? I bet you are. You're already around so many people that are community oriented. You can see how much can happen. Robert and I are involved in something called the Conscious Center for Living and Dying, which is now going to be called the Amber Light Center. And the Amber Light Center, which is a beautiful place to assist people through their journey to the other side, that place has come together solely because of community and connections. It is powerful to have a leader in that particular project named Dr. Aditi Sethi Brown, who actually understands that everything comes to us. It's a perfect living example. That particular entity is a beautiful living example of what it is that we're going to be going into today. So, collaboration is absolutely key, but we have to understand that the laws of physics actually support that. The collaboration is the key. There are some videos that I've been watching lately that have activated uh, some of the most important aspects of what we're going to talk about today. There's some brain science I'm going to talk about. There's some quantum physics I'm going to talk about. And there's the tools to be able to be a bridge builder for your own self and in humanity in general. When I talk about bridge building, it has very much to do with the fact that no, these are not times to be alone or be a lone wolf anymore. However, uh, most people have so many fears that it's difficult to actually let go. And then the other half of people would love not to be a lone wolf, but they've been doing it for at least 3, 4, 5 decades that they don't even know how to be different. How many people fall into the I don't even know how to be different anymore category? I just love to see. It's like you've been lone wolfing it. Yeah. So that's about a third of you. Yeah. So, few other things. How to listen today. How to listen is with yourselves. Sometimes I'll be speaking, you're like, what now? What did she say? I didn't get that. I didn't quite grab it. And that's okay. Your cells did. Okay. Your cells are getting it. Photon packages of light carry the information out of my 75 trillion cells, travel around the earth 7 times in a second. In a second. And your receptor sites are picking them up. I promise you that is happening. At the same time, if there's truly a question that is just making your eye twitch, and it's like, if I don't know this, I can't listen to the rest of what she's saying. If you need a context question, absolutely, pretty please, oh gosh darn it, absolutely ask the question. Okay, all agreed to asking questions because it's a part of stepping out of lone wolfiness. All agreed to asking great questions. Put up your hand. Just checking. Okay, there's a few of you that don't care about asking great questions. I respect that. But but the rest of you, I truly hope that you do. All right. Finally, listening with your cells means not listening with your intellect. The next thing is sometimes I'll find that people are getting a little too intellectual or a little too attached or a little too like cerebral. And you'll notice that I'll go into circular conversation. A lot of people who listen to our workshops, they're like, you went here, then you went there, but then you came back around, but it was like going on a spiral journey. It's on purpose, my friends. So sometimes when you think I've let go of something and I'm not going to revisit it, I promise you, for the most part, I will revisit it unless something else is presenting to talk about. And uh, there is method to my madness. I promise. It's really trying to get you out of your linear thinking because in order to flow in the trajectory that we're headed, it actually requires spiraling thinking rather than linear thinking. Linear thinking is what you need in order to get things done in 3D. We're talking about evolving you so you can stay in flow with all of consciousness. And I'll talk in a moment about what that actually looks like and what it means. Okay, last but not least, I told you what we're going to leave with. I mentioned how to listen. Oh, there's one more thing about how to listen. Okay, you guys, please, pretty please. There are so many people that are coaches or guides or leaders in some way or executives here or people that are leading their own movement. And it's so easy to get coachy with others. And what I request here is that we're all side by side. No coachy woachy, okay? Meaning I call it mommy syndrome. It's also daddy syndrome. It's kind of like, well, I have some wisdom around that. Just let yourself be given to for you. Never mind everybody else. You get to be selfish today, entirely 100% totally here for you, Candace. Are you okay with being here for you, Candace? Okay, just check it. Are you? Come on, girl. Are you okay with being here for you? Okay, good. All right. I'm glad. All right, you guys. So, again, last thing, because a few more people joined us, I'm just going to say again, it's always beneficial for me to see your faces. If you have a question here, and after this, we're just going to start diving in. So, if you have a question, the best way to ask your question, because Sonia's copying and pasting them for me, because I won't be able to pay attention fully to the comments or I'll lose my train. When I'm in presence and when I'm teaching, I literally am completely with all of your energy. If I can see you, it makes it a lot easier. And that way I'm flowing with the intent, known and unknown of you, and bringing through the answers that would most serve. But there are going to be questions that come up. And when they do, my request is that you write them, you just write a question mark and a Q before your question so that Sonia can go, oh, look, there's a question mark and a Q in caps before your question. So if you can do that, that would be fabulous. And then off we'll go. All right. And I will get to most, if not all of them. We are going to be done at 6 o'clock. And then we're going to have time for a Q&A. I mean, Q&As are always the place where the juicy stuff goes, right? So, yeah. And no, Lauren, don't do that. Make sure you're here to ask great questions. And I know you will, my fellow Canadian friend. All right, here we go, kids. The evolution of flow. So, first and foremost, why are we talking about the evolution of flow? Because if I talked about the thriving operating system, which is what we have taught, the thriving operating system, meaning how you plug into life so that everything comes to you and everything happens in a way that surprises and delights you, and that your life answers the question. Just breathe for a moment and take this question in. It's my favorite question to ask. What's the greatest thing I can do with the skills I already have that would make the biggest difference, have me waking up inspired and going to bed knowing that I did what I came to the planet for? Just let it sink in for a second. I'm going to say it again. What's the greatest thing I can do with the skills I already have that would make the biggest difference while I woke up inspired and went to bed knowing that I did at least one or two or five or the whole day's worth of things that are the reason why I'm alive? The reason we're all here is because your greater wisdom is constantly answering that question. Every problem you have, it's wanting to solve because it wants you to live the answer of that question. Right? So I'd love you to write in what comes up for you when I ask that question. I'd love to see from a scale of 0 to 10, how many people feel like you've been living that question fully, like absolutely every day is an answer to that question, and you know how to do it, and you have confidence in doing it. 0 to 10, where is everybody at? Okay, 0 to 10. Give it a number. Zero, some of you will be 0, some of you will be 3, some of you will be 8, right? Yeah. And there's no judgment here, you guys. That's the thing. There's no judgment. It doesn't matter where you're at. All I know is that today is going to give you a lot more clarity on what it's going to take to be there. Second question, write in how you think your life would be if you were living more fully into that question. If you had clarity, if you had confidence, if you're going direct with your ability to flow and with your greater wisdom, and you just knew like you knew, nothing took you out, you were completely able to stay in your presence, what would be the benefit of living in that place? What would be the benefit of living there? Like, so what? Okay, so you're living on purpose. What are the benefits to you and humanity? Would you have more energy? Yeah. If you were more magnetic, not only more magnetic, if you just were magnetic to everything desired, right? You wouldn't be second guessing yourself. Yeah, absolutely. Living in your maximum potential for sure, Marielle. David, energizing, absolutely. You would have way more energy. It's a common answer. The reason we're talking about the evolution is because if you kept using the same tools that you used to use, Even if you went and took our, I don't know, 4 or 5 year old program, um, even though it's still true, there are some addendums to it, to the Thriving Operating System, big ones over this year to next year. But even if you were living that way, if you took the tools from 5 years ago, they wouldn't work right now because the speed at which we're evolving is so much faster. So, I have a story about a client who actually was big, a huge person in the movement for becoming and really doing self-evaluation and looking at oneself. She was part of creating one of the biggest personal development programs in the whole world, actually, in many, many countries. And she came to me because the tools that she knew from that particular program, which I bet you a lot of you have taken, but I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to betray her privacy, let's say. But I had this conversation with her the other day, and what was going on is she was trying to get over something that was happening with in a group that she's involved in, and she was trying to get herself to stop judging herself. She was trying to stop judging other people, and she was using all the tools from this program. And no matter what she did, it wouldn't work. It didn't work. And so she called me up and she said, Jennifer, my way isn't working. I mean, I have used these tools for 2 decades now. No, I guess it's 3 decades. Oh my God, it's 3 decades. She's used them for 3 decades. And she said, it's not working. It wasn't even working last year, but this year is really not working. So I took her on a journey to transcend the analysis of what's in her way. So first, before I go any further, because I'm contextualizing the rest of our conversation, how many people here have spent a lot of time in the analysis of yourself? Okay, just keep your hand up if you spent a lot of time in analysis of yourself. Just keep your hand up for a second. How many people would really love to stop analyzing yourself? Keep up your hand. Yeah, that's pretty much everyone. Yeah, so here's the deal, you guys. Some of you are two-fisting it. It's like both. Yes. And she was sitting there and she was analyzing and analyzing. Why am I stuck? Why are they judging me? Why am I judging them? Why? And the question why doesn't actually get you anywhere. But what we did is we took her into a different realm. We took her into a realm where the person that she had become in the quantum field, in fact, it's not even had become. The parallel version of her where that stuff didn't even happen had her be in a parallel reality, a completely different version of herself where her magnetics didn't even attract that in the first place. And the skill sets and the beingness of that parallel universe version of her uh, informed her ability to actually free herself in her this universe version of herself. And in that information, she was able to see that what she's up to in this world would be completely sabotaged by continuing in that particular group. And in fact, that her yearning to try to belong with people, because she's such a unicorn, her yearning to try to belong was sabotaging her. She was attached to belonging to that group. And as a result of belonging to that group and then being attached to it, in order for her to go on her spiral and go on her purpose, she literally had to let go of the groupthink that was happening in that organization. And that it was the greatest gift she was ever given. But she couldn't see it from the perspective of being inside the problem in an analysis. She had to understand who she was from a greater consciousness standpoint and from the point of view of the universe's great idea that it thinks thought is aware of that you are and the future potentials that you hold. And from that place, you can actually look back at any situation and it will become clear within 5 minutes instead of 5 years of therapy. So it's not always true. Sometimes we need therapy, and you'll know when you need therapy. But in this case, there's a way of getting rid of, or transcending is a better way of saying it, transcending stuck patterns that keep revisiting you. I'd love to hear about some stuck patterns that are revisiting you guys right now. So if you guys can actually type them into the chat, what are some stuck patterns that are revisiting you? Some of them might even be getting worse. So, what are some patterns that you continue? And by the way, your participation and your typing in this, the more we interact, the more you interact, the more you participate. Not like I already know this stuff. If you participate like I already know this, I'm waiting for something that I need to hear in order for me to, that's new. I just need to hear something new. Don't be coming here like that, because if you come here like that, what's going to happen is you're going to miss the little choo-choo train that we started on. Just play full out for your life. This is an amazing time to be alive, you guys. It's an amazing time to be alive. Let's really dive in together. Lauren, my relationship with money remains firm. Oh, that's fun. Sylvia, if it's to be done right, I have to do it. Oh, Sylvia, I'm sure you're not alone in that one. Right, Robert, watching a movie every night before bed because I have taken in so much. I want to veg out. Well, Robert, there's one of those things where I'm not sure if that's a bad thing or if it's something that's suboptimal. What I can say when I look at your field, are you willing to come live, Robert, for a second?
I'm here.
Hey, dude. So, hey, neighbor. So, listen, one of the things that I see for you in your hologram, if you're willing to have me share, are you okay with that?
Oh yeah, I like being naked. Let's do it.
Awesome. Let's do it. Here we go. So, what I would say with you is that that's actually your innate wisdom speaking, given your current state of beingness. You
Mm.
need to be vegetative sometimes you need to have your consciousness on another subject because of what you went through that day and the evolutions that you've experienced, being able to actually integrate. And so your mind
Yeah.
being off of what happened is the current fastest way to integrate. Now, I'm going to activate something that's possible that's definitely part of this program if you're willing. Let's go. So here's the deal. There is a possibility. It's not just a possibility, it's a probability. And I can't imagine that you're not going to do this once I share it with you.
Mm.
And that is there's a way of being that would expand your consciousness so wide that you wouldn't need to integrate at the end of the day by watching a movie. You could just watch a movie because you want to. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'm real fun.
so, yeah. And there's a permanent state shift available where you can expand
Mm.
your ability to receive and integrate. Huh. Where you can expand your ability to receive and integrate, even by talking about it right now. We're activating your 75 trillion cells to be available to that integration, to actually quantum physically download. And I know you can do this because you study quantum physics. So, to be able to bring through the quantum codes to upgrade your cellular quantum biology to integrate as you go
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
rather than
Kind of
having to.
collapsing.
Exactly, dude. We're having a little quantum collapse 0 point moment here where you get to collapse into what you've been doing at the end of the day and outside of the realm of time, taking all the mechanisms that have you integrate at the end of the day and just integrating them into your cellular makeup so you can integrate all day long and you don't have to take time out to integrate. Then the end of the day can be whatever you want.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
helpful?
Mm-hmm. Feels wide open.
Hello, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, it's great. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you.
Yeah. So everybody, can you feel this? Do you understand what we're talking about here? This is actually a time where we can make those kinds of quantum leaps. That's a little bit of a quantum leap. So the next thing I want to talk about, oh, there's just so many things that are presenting. the rest of the time we're together, first I'm going to talk about the catalysts. Okay. So if you want a structure for today, first we're going to go into the catalysts that have happened this year. Okay. So the catalysts, meaning what are the difficulties, problems, polarities that have happened this year that are actually going to birth the next year and many of the years to come. That's the first thing we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about those from the perspective of love, money, and purpose. Second is we're going to talk about what is flow, quantum physically speaking. What does it actually mean to flow? Then the third thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about, then if those are the catalysts and this is flow, then what the heck is life trying to tell us? What is life saying? Right? And then what we're going to go into is, given all of that, if these are the catalysts, this is what life's saying, and this is the quantum physical world that kind of explains what flow is and why it's evolving. Then the last piece of what we're going to do in the last, 20 minutes or so is we're going to talk about then what's needed. What is actually needed in order to evolve with the evolutions of flow? Because why be here in a masterclass if we're not going to talk about what's needed, right? So it's the big exclamation point on the end of this conversation. And there are generally three basic steps to that, but it's a very unique year. All right. Here we go. In my wonderful way, I want to come back to what Robert was just sharing about how at one point at the end of the day, it wasn't wrong. Can you guys get that? It wasn't wrong for Robert to actually integrate using movies. I do the exact same thing sometimes when it's really been a lot. Right? And so I'm going to turn down the heat on this. I hope. There we go. And so it's okay to actually do what you need to do to be able to come down. What we're talking about in the evolution of flow is, what if you could stay in the flow so much that you don't need to take time out to integrate, that integrating actually happened in the moment when you're doing what you're doing. And that's a little bit of an evolution, isn't it? That's not how most conversations go in the world of, no, if you're doing a lot, then you need, there are steps and you need to integrate and all that kind of stuff. What if you started to embody your own ability to integrate? And I'm opening the doorway to it. Now, contextually, this opening the doorway to an idea is called activating. So what is an activation, my friends? It matters because it contextualizes the entirety of the rest of our conversation. Activating is when we open the doorway to a new paradigm for how we live our lives. That's what an activation is in my world. Making available something that you didn't even know we could do, but making it very vivid so you really get it. So if at any point in this conversation we're talking about something where you're like, what now? Like, I did not get that. Your cells did. But you really feel called to get some clarity. You just put up your hand. I am here. Just feel free to put up your hand. Lisa Louise, you're going to put up your hand when we're in one of those places? Okay, good. Just checking. Just wanted to make sure. Okay. So activating is the first part. And you can imagine this makes sense, right? Activating, of course, you need to know what's available in order to have your mind go, oh, right? And then what happens is you calibrate to that new reality. You calibrate to that new reality. You let yourself actually be attuned, i.e., get used to the idea, i.e., familiarize yourself. Now, can you get, when I say that, how many people think that how many people know and have experience that calibration to a new idea or a new paradigm takes time? How many people, like, you got a new idea, we're talking about something new, it's a big deal, it's like, oh my God, how am I going to do that? How do I not need a movie at night? That's going to take me time. I'm going to go and work with the guy who founded Earth Day. We're going to create a movement about movements. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do it. Really don't. But I'm doing it, but I have no idea what I'm doing. You get what I'm saying? I have no idea. And so is it going to take time to get used to? Here's the thing about what we're talking about today. What if not only activation didn't take time? So what Robert and I just did is I activated a possibility, and Robert's so available to the quantum field, he probably also started to calibrate to that's possible. He probably already started to get used to, hey, I could do that just because someone spoke it out loud. Someone brought it from the field into 3D through words. That's how you take things from the field, from the land of possibility. The first place you start is with words. And when the words bring the codes into this reality, it's like, oh, I want that. But the first thing human beings do, when I say the second step is calibrate, is they have this idea that it takes time. Okay. Who just give me a little sense. Just give me a little sense. How many people here have looked at a lot of quantum physics? Like, you love watching those videos. You're all about it. How many people are like that? So it's maybe 20% of everyone. Okay. One of the things that I want to share with everyone is that in the land of physics, there is no time, right? Everything is everywhere all at once. It's like the movie. By the way, if you walk away with anything today, go and watch that movie. Everything everywhere all at once. It's like parallel realities exist, everything, everywhere, all at once. And from the perspective of there being no time in quantum physics, there are some things you need to know in order for calibrating to take as little time as possible. What I'm saying in English is this. If I gave you an idea about a new way of being, so literally you could flow with everything, and I told you the first step is to activate it, i.e., open the door to it so you even know what the hell you're doing. And the second is calibrate to it, meaning get your physiology and your brain used to it. And then I said to you, but there's a way of doing that fairly immediately, but not with any attachment to how it unfolds. But you could actually move into that fairly immediately, this paradigm of being able to flow. If I said that to you, who'd be excited? Would you be excited? Right? It's exciting, right? It's like, woohoo! Yeah. So here's the thing about being excited about it. The excitement tells me that you're already available to it, because excitement only happens when you are available to a parallel reality that you think is possible. If you don't think it's possible, i.e., if you're not connected to the field where that is possible, then it's just going to seem overwhelming and like you're going to have to control things more. And it's a little freaky. And oh my God. And some of you are going in between being excited and then going back to, oh my God, how am I going to do that? And going back to lone wolfiness. You're going back and forth and back and forth. Right? So put me, if you know you're someone that's going back and forth between, just put me in the chat. Are you doing that? Or are you going back and forth between like, oh, that's really exciting, but then how do I do it? Because you've been lone wolfing it all your life, right? Right, Candace? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So so activate first, open the door, calibrate, get used to. What if you could get used to it not in time? What if you could actually get used to it as you go? Kind of like what I'm doing with my friend Nigel. And then the third thing is you embody. So what's happened in the past? Oh, Joy, it's so lovely to see you. What a joy to see Joy. So in the past, you guys, in the past, what has happened is that in order to get to the place of embodiment, we've had to go through a long process of activating it so that people could finally see it. Then we'll have to go through this experiential journey to familiarize yourself. It's going to take time. And then the embodiment is literally at some point you're so familiar with it that none of your fears exist anymore. And you just let all the codes drop in that have been waiting for you because you're not in the way of your greater consciousness anymore. It just drops in. You ever had that? You've been talking about something for 2 years and analyzing the living daylights out of it. And then you leave it alone for a bit and all of a sudden it just drops in. And then you're changed the next day. You wake up the next day and you're like, I can't even find what was annoying me before. I can't even find the problem anymore. Have you ever had that? It's crazy, right? So it's an interesting thing where we can actually, when you embody, you'll actually forget where you were. You'll actually forget how you used to be. Right? I know you guys have had that happen. So this is contextualizer a conversation. I'm not talking about long-winded activate, calibrate, and embody processes. I am talking about being able to activate and then to be able to get to a place where you can calibrate as an automatic way of being. And then when you're perfectly ready, it all just drops in. And it may require some stuff in time, space, some training, some relationships, but the process of embodiment can happen almost immediately. Chunks of it can start dropping in almost immediately. You don't want to short circuit your being. Now, I'm going to tell you guys a little secret. Well, it's not so secret. I've told some of you this. So, in the past, human beings have had to die first to embody new ways of being. Have you noticed, did you know that there are more millionaires in the 20 to 30 range, 20 to 30-year-old range, right now in this time space? There are more per capita than there have ever been in the history of humanity. More millionaires in the range of 20 to 30 years old. And you can understand it, can't you? These kids are wired. They've mastered AI already. The technology is like done, and done, right? Now, why do I mention that? Because they're doing activating, calibrating, and embodying like this. P.S. I did that. I had carpal tunnel in my hand 2 weeks ago. I did exactly the process. It's not really a process, that takes time. But exactly what I'm talking about is something that I embodied because 2 weeks ago I could not snap my fingers. And I'm typing more. So, you guys, everybody breathe for just a moment. Any questions? Any questions, my friends? Any questions? So, I see a couple of questions here. So, when I was talking about patterns earlier, I'm talking about repeating ways of being that sabotage you or that you perceive sabotage you. The truth is, what Robert shared earlier, going and watching a movie, wasn't sabotaging him. It's not a pattern that doesn't work. It absolutely worked. It's just there's a faster way. What if some of the patterns that are happening in your life right now are things that are saving your life? It's thank God you have that pattern, because otherwise you'd literally go Mach 10 with your hair on fire and maybe fall on your face. Maybe until you get what's next, it's good that you have that pattern. I don't know. So, Susan, you're asking, what if people you love control you with money? And, well, we'll come back to you. That's a great question. How do you overcome this and move forward? Having the pattern be there itself. is enough to feel frozen. But the pattern is not people controlling you with money. That's the problem. I'm going to explain something that I haven't said in a long time, but I remember being in your neck of the woods, Susan. You might even have been there. And we were in Cheryl Lynn's house, and we probably had 60 people in a place that should only fit 30. And we were talking about the answer to that question, what's the greatest thing I could do? And we were talking about the laws of physics way back when, this is like 15 years ago. And I remember my marketing person was there, whom I love, and her son was there. And at the time, he was, I don't know, 11, 12 years old. I couldn't even see him in the back of the room because he was so short compared to all the adults. And we were talking about some of the things, well, not the things we're talking about now, but on the path to this conversation, anyways. And in the end, he said, if these are if this is what's going on, then why don't the people in power do something about it, Susan? Do you remember this? I think you were there. I'm pretty sure you were.
Yes, I'm sure I was there.
You were there.
Oh, yeah.
And my answer to you, and everybody take a breath. I really want you to hear the answer. It's an evolutionary answer. The answer was, the issue is not that people in power should do something about it. The issue is that you think you think they're the ones that are in power. So I'm going to say it again. The issue is not that the people in power should do something about it. The issue is that you're giving all the power to those people when you're the one in power. The only person that's in power when it comes to you is you. So whatever you're experiencing in your life, you literally are a magnetic match for it. The great thing is, Susan, and I had this conversation with a client this morning in a little channeled session, and she's having something to happen to her that's happening right now in her world, happening for her. But it's a big thing. Anyone here would be super upset if it was happening to you, for you. Truly, it's not happening to you. But the cool thing is that I told her is that thing will keep happening to her until she actually gets what there is to get. And once you get what there is to get, the need for that pattern to continue disappears, because physics is always responding to your magnetics. If your magnetics disappear, the issue disappears. So everyone breathe. Yeah. So Susan, we'll talk about that a little later. I'll come back to you, okay? But isn't it great that nobody else is having power over you?
Yep.
It is, right?
I hear you.
Yep. Yep.
When I'm alone, I don't hear you, but you're listening. I go, oh, yeah. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
we're activating and we're calibrating. We haven't embodied yet, right? So the thing is, how do we get to that state of embodiment, right, girl? So thanks, Susan. Thanks for your question. Marielle, Marielle, where are you in the world, my love?
In the Netherlands.
You're in the Netherlands. Beautiful. And so you said how to get out of the, I bet you this flow class is going to give you an idea of how to get out of the way of this amount of flow. I think by the time we're finished, and if you have more questions by the time we finish, you can stay for the Q&A. I know it's going to be super late for you though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if it is super late, you can always listen to the replay, and when we put up the replay, just put in the comments any questions you have, okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Oh, but Marianne, here's the thing, my love. It's like you said that, like, no, it's okay. Like, oh well, you can't. Literally, the answer to that question is this actual flow workshop. So, yeah. So if you have anything, you can always ask. All right? Always ask. I don't just mean here. You can always ask. My life is given to assisting people to answer that question. So it's all about that. So don't ever feel shy or like you're taking up time or space. All right. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to come back to some of those questions. And thank you, Marielle. I appreciate it. All right.
No problem.
Can I be rude and just make a point that latches on to what you just said?
Sure, Joan.
So what I have found and with myself and some of my clients as well is that when you're so-called ready for that, when you align with that next step, that actually oftentimes you've outgrown it and it's not even what's up anymore, that you're past it and you're ready for the next thing.
And what I'm saying is, which is great that you said that, because you're not attached anymore when you're already past it. And of course, the point of what you're saying is if metaphysically you're not attached anymore, of course it's going to drop in. As long as you're attached, that offers the resistance that causes it not to drop in. What if we could live resistance free is my question. Right? So yeah, thank you for that, Joan. All right, you guys, here we go. So I said in the first section, we're going to talk about the evolutions that are the catalysts. For me, this is super fascinating. And I will try to keep it brief, but I just find it so darn fascinating. The catalysts from this year and the year before, probably the last 2.5 years, one of the catalysts is because we've got AI, one of the polarities that's causing a powerful asking. So let me say that in a different way. For those of you who haven't studied physics, it is the polarities and the problems and the stickiness and the like eye twitchy moments where something is not in flow, where you can feel that there's more to it, but the answer hasn't shown up yet. Those moments cause 8.5 billion human beings, 9 billion maybe, to ask for solutions. Imagine how many people are asking about solutions for peace or harmony right now. I mean, it's probably ridiculous. And then the field instantaneously, really listen to what I'm sharing. The particles of us that are subatomic, quarks and electrons, waveforms, those particles respond to the problem, but not in time. The laws of entanglement say that you cannot have a problem without the solution simultaneously existing. You can't have a problem without the solution. So imagine that every time we have a problem, even though it's not showing up in time space, the solution has already appeared in the field. The issue is not working harder in 3D to come up with the solution. The issue is actually understanding the laws of physics to the degree that you embody the ability to get out of the way of the solution and come to the frequency of the solution and be prepared for the solution in such a way that it can come through you without resistance. Let me explain something that we explained yesterday in a group call we hold every month in our community. It's not, okay, everybody breathe. I'm going to give you a brief science class. I promise you it'll be brief. Please don't fall asleep. You shouldn't, because this literally will change your life if you haven't heard it before. So everyone here knows that gases and liquids and everything is made of molecules, and that we're made of cells, which are made of molecules, which are made of atoms. Everyone knows this, right? Just nod your head if you're with me so far. I mean, I think the basics of science, most of us know. Okay. So, excuse me. From that place, just feel this out for me. Just come with me down behind your pineal gland, behind your eyeballs, down into your body. Look at a cell. We've got one cell. Let's say it's a liver cell or a heart cell. I don't care. That liver cell or heart cell is made of 100 trillion atoms. You've got 75 trillion cells made of 100 trillion atoms each. We have a visitor. Hello, Putty Tat. And those 100 trillion atoms each, have protons, which are made of partially of quarks, 6 different kinds of quarks, and electrons, which, unlike what you learned in science class, What you learned in science class is that those electrons basically go around in a valence shell like the planets around the sun. And that's not how electrons work. They actually do quantum leaping nanosecond by nanosecond. What does that mean? What it means is that your electrons, which you are made of, and your quarks, which are inside of all of your protons, these actually disappear into the field. They disappear into the field. They get so energized and excited. So they go into the field where all possibility lives, where the future potentials for humanity live, where everything you've birthed into consciousness because you've had a problem, or society has had a problem, the environment's had a problem, or whatever perceived issue that's been, has thousands of solutions. They go into the field and you're made of these things and they reappear somewhere else. And you're made of those things. So imagine that moment by moment, you're being recreated by how your cells are being informed by the atoms within that are disappearing and reappearing in quantum leaps into this three-dimensional reality. And imagine that you have access to solutions nanosecond by nanosecond because every cell in your body is designed to access those solutions. Don't you think that's pretty insane? It's in our wiring. We're made this way. That is the flow of the universe. Now, here's what's crazy about it, is we run around in lone wolfiness, not being aware that we are mostly quantum connected. And we use our amygdala-based thinking, our fears, our need to be in control, to use a referential system that goes only to your brain, which is based on history and what you've seen on TV or social media. And then you try to come up with ideas that are linear when this entire world is a quantum world. And so the question of flow, remember how I said I would define what flow is? The ability to live that way is the ability to flow. The ability to be able to be that much in your presence is the ability to actually be dreamt by a dream, dreamt by the dream that you created in the field. Okay, who's with me? Who's with me so far? Okay, all right. Anyone have any questions about this? Carolyn, what do I do to end carpal tunnel? Well, we got to do the bigger picture first. And Candace is asking, how do we know if we've gotten to that third place? Well, getting to that third place of embodiment, how you know is that you'll forget about what you did to activate. You'll forget about fixing anything or, trying to calibrate or get used to. You'll forget about all the things that you're forcing yourself to do to try to calibrate or analyze yourself. And you'll literally be in the new state, and you will have forgotten what your last state is. And your situation will look like what you had imagined it would be or better. So the situation and how people show up around you will be different. That's how you know. How you know is people treat you different, the situations, the opportunities change. And if the opportunities around money, love, etc. haven't shifted, then you haven't embodied the evolution yet. Right? So, does everyone get this little journey into what is flow? Does everyone get it? Somewhat. I mean, I know you probably don't get how to do it, but do you get what it is? Do you get what flow is? Do you understand? Okay, good. So we were still talking about catalysts. So the next piece that is a catalyst, we were just talking about that the first catalyst is that everything takes time, that everything has taken time. But the problem is with AI and with they've solved a couple of problems with quantum computers that they said would take millions of years. It's astounding. So the idea of time is being transcended even through our computer technology. And the kids that are being born now are going to be able to use all this stuff. So the idea of time and how we relate to it is completely changing. That's a massive catalyst. Can you guys get that if activating, calibrating, and embodiment did not take time, that we would be matching more of the flow of how the universe works and how your actual body works, where literally moment by moment, you're just not used to it. That's the thing. But moment by moment, it could literally take no time to go through your evolutions. In this time-space reality, to just get there, most people won't just get there. There needs to be conversation, ironically, in time. And I'll tell you why. Because your physical body as a conduit is not wired to evolve that quickly yet. The kids being born right now are, but remember, I was saying that this is one of the only, well, it is the only time in history. It's like the last 3 generations of people were the only generations that have been able to actually embody an entire new operating system without having to die first, without having to lose this body. So imagine, this will be interesting for you, Robert. Imagine being able to die to yourself while you're still living. Imagine you're dying to who you've been to become. Okay, that's the Reader's Digest. I mean, I know you guys are going to have tons of questions, but we'll keep going. Okay, so the first thing is time. It's catalyzing this idea that what if you don't need it? What if this idea that you need to spend 20 years analyzing yourself before you can finally be free isn't true? What if you need time to integrate isn't true? It's not that it's not true. In one parallel universe, it is true. But the thing is, what if we've also created parallel universes where it's not true? What if you can just get what you need to get without having to work so hard? And then people start saying that's spiritual bypassing. And what if I said to you, what if it's not? What if it's you get the same integration, you get the same aha, you get the same evolution, except you stop finding it so darn fascinating and you start just making it that the miraculous becomes your new normal. Okay, so which brings me to the second issue, that we think miracles aren't normal. That is an issue. If you think miracles aren't normal, if you have it that there's some fascinating thing that happens because we're special, or that you separated yourself from your miraculous nature, when the exact same way your synapses in your brain work is exactly the same as how you guys are gonna laugh. Okay, I'm just gonna show you. Watch this. One exists inside your skull, and the other is billions of light years. But that's the universe in your brain right there. So the point is that what's inside you is also outside of you. The way the universe works and the flow of the universe is the same flow as your brain. 2 years ago, there was a whole study around that. It was fascinating. And the universe is expanding at quantum speed, faster and faster all the time. It's exponentiating. Just like going from no computers to AI to, quantum computers. It's an evolution. It was always possible. We just didn't know. So that addresses both the time thing, but also this idea, if someone had made a quantum computer 100 years ago, it would have been a miracle. But what if it's just not a miracle? What if we can just do that now? So the very idea of miracles actually arrests, Because what you think is a miracle now is actually possible to have it be your new normal. So that's the next thing I'm asking you to consider. One of the catalysts is that we are so fascinated by big ahas and miracles that if we transcended our need to be fascinated or transcended the need to have miracles just be a miracle because it's fun to have a miracle, imagine you were in so much flow and you just lived that way. That's, you know, I didn't use intention to end up speaking to Oprah's staff in Oprah's store wearing Oprah's clothes, which is what happened when I literally got out of the way. I have so much proof of this, and so do you. You have so much proof of this. It's just no one's harnessed the language so that we can all do it at will, be that way at will, right? So the last thing I want to say that has been a catalyst, which has been really interesting, is that we think our purpose has to do with the job that we do. So talk to me a little bit about what you think purpose is. Just put it into the chat. What do you think purpose is? What is purpose? What is your purpose? Cindy, just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to go to you. Are you okay with talking, or are you at the office?
No, there we go.
Oh,
Hi.
because why not? So tell me,
Hey, Jennifer.
how do you really, hi there. By the way, I just realized it's so funny. The cat that we're babysitting just stepped all over my keyboard and wrote a word. I'm just going to actually post
What's
it.
the word?
There it is. There's the cat's word. So the cat is trying to communicate. It's a miracle. So so Cindy, Cindy, how have you related to purpose?
For me, purpose is about trying to figure out what I can do that not only fulfills me, but
Yeah.
can help someone else. Or for me, I do a lot of animal rescue work. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, so that's kind of, I feel like my purpose is helping them, but it also helps me.
By the way, my version of what Robert does is watching dog rescue videos. That's my version of it is. I love it. So, dude, so here's the thing. Can I give you a different definition?
I would love one.
Okay. What if just consider for a second, I don't know if it'll resonate or not, but let's just have fun with it. And everybody who's thinking that purpose is similar to what Cindy said or to what I said earlier, that it's something that you do that feels fulfilling. What if, just like go with me on this, what if purpose was more of a unfolding trajectory rather than a static thing? Okay,
I like
so
that.
I'm gonna say it again,
Yeah.
because what happens to your brain when I say that?
I have to take a beat and think about it.
Yeah. So where does your brain go? Like, okay, if it's a trajectory instead of a static, like I find my purpose and then I'm on it and then I can do that the rest of my life. What
Right.
is it? What if, let me add some things to it. What if it is an ever unfolding becoming?
Well, I can see that because you're ever changing and growing. So my brain is able to handle that part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what if we shifted from purpose being this place of it's a hard and fast thing to that you're never not on purpose. It's just always unfolding. And sometimes
That just made my shoulders fall down. So that
come on
must
now,
mean
girl.
something.
Right? So that's a paradigm shift. So imagine that you're never not becoming, and that everything that you've lived, and even the challenge of getting clarity, will be never ending, and that you can master the idea of dropping into the clarity, because after all, you have 75 trillion cells that are disappearing and coming back and accessing consciousness that has all the answers. And if you could harness that and just be in your presence of that, you would literally be able to be on purpose nanosecond by nanosecond if you really mastered it.
Sounds nice. I'd
Now,
like to get there.
right? But what if, even if it wasn't nanosecond by nanosecond, even it was just like day by day or week by week, what if the contrast serves a purpose? And it always has. And what if sometimes you just need a little bit more contrast to have a little bit more asking that would fill out your becoming such that that becoming would have more meaning when you got there?
So then as you developed, would there be less contrast because you got better?
Ah, now we're talking, girlfriend.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Then as you develop, there would be less contrast. Who's for less contrast? Woot,
Yes.
woot. Right? In the world, never mind in your life.
Right.
You would need less contrast because you would be more present. And not only that, you would get more inspirational evolutions rather than contrast based evolutions.
Nice.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Mhm.
Yeah. And just, may I just have a look at your hologram for 2 seconds, if you're willing?
Sure.
Yeah, you probably don't know what that means, do you?
I don't.
Okay, so I literally look at people holographically. It doesn't take geography for you to be next to me or anything because there's no time or space. So, um, I want you to know that there are even people to meet that are going to help you with that evolution, and you want to transcend. It's inevitable that it's going to unfold. The biggest thing that gets in the way of you being clear about the unfolding is actually your frustration
Oh,
and focusing on the
100%.
frustration. So the issue is you keep focusing on the frustration of what's not working. And in the focusing on the frustration, what actually happens is you're telling consciousness that you want more frustration before you actually get answers
Oh,
by focusing on that. But again, this is a paradigm shift for humanity, dude. Okay. So the paradigm shift for humanity is we think that by analyzing what's in our way, we're going to get to the other side. But the problem is that's not how quantum physics works, and everything's made of quantum particles. The more
mhm.
you focus on what you're broken about and what you need fixing, when I just said the very paradigm of being alive is to have contrast that bursts the new solutions that then you have to line up with the knit, and on and on and on and on we go. That is life. It is life. That is how life was designed. The thing we need to learn to do is not the analysis of why we're broken. It's the ability to be able to let your quarks and your electrons go into the field, come back and be present to it in a much
Yes.
more amazing way, because then you wouldn't have to analyze your brokenness because you would realize yourself as not broken. Do you get it?
I kind of do, but it's
I know.
definitely an up and down, right? I make a little progress and I fall back. I make a little progress, I fall back.
And what if you never fall back? What if you
Yeah,
make a
that'd be
little
great.
progress?
Yeah.
What if falling back? What if I'm saying your perception that you're falling back is not even falling
Oh,
back?
well, I like that a lot.
You understand?
I
You're
do.
not
Yep.
falling back. So you've got it. So the last thing I want to share with you is one of the other things that gets in the way is that this world, hold on, I'm just going to take my very bright light down a notch. One of the things that also happens is that expectations are basically dream killers. Because when we have an expectation about how your evolution should happen and it doesn't look that way, I know Caroline right now is probably smiling. We just had a conversation about this.
Mm.
She's one of my clients.
Mm.
When we have expectations, what happens is when we don't match those expectations, it's a safety mechanism that our amygdala, our personality has developed in order to be able to judge what's going on against a bunch of parameters. And then when it doesn't meet the parameters, we have an excuse to stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
What if you're evolving at the exact perfect speed? And how could you not be? You're a quantum being. How can you not be evolving at the exact speed you should? Truly.
Yeah.
What if the thing that's keeping you is understanding that you're judging yourself against your expectations? And until you get over this expectation thing, it's going to keep going the way it's been going. And this very conversation is a thing that transcends it.
It's definitely put the idea into my head, which is a huge step.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
just I'm just poking around.
Yeah, I
Thanks,
like it.
Cindy.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
being a guinea pig.
No problem.
Okay, everybody, I have a question. Thanks, buddy. Okay. Okay, I'm going to look at everyone. I'm going to put myself on gallery. So everybody, how many people were really glad that Cindy was the guinea pig? Like you heard something in that conversation, right? It's important. Yeah. So I said that from these places. So I'm going to say again what I said before. Purpose is not a thing that's static. Purpose is an ever evolving thing until the day that you die. And you become the person, i.e., activate, calibrate, and embody the next level of who you need to become in order to live out what you've put into the quantum field. And that your amygdala, the part of you that's afraid, and by the way, the part of you that's afraid, which everyone here has had, including me, that part of you that's afraid is trying to keep you safe and in control and have your life be predictable. But that is not flourishing through the next 2 years. That is surviving the next 2 years. I'm saying 2 years because the next 2 years are going to be intense, and our opportunity to be able to change the way we change with the changes. Let me say that again. The next 2 years are going to allow us to change the operating system of how we shift and how we, I'm not even going to call it developing personally, because we're not even going to develop, because developing takes time. And we're not interested in time because we're transcending time now. What if it's just a consistent state of becoming as a paradigm shift for this awakening world that's being catalyzed at an epic pace? What if it's just a paradigm shift, you guys? I can tell you, I already told you shared with you that Oprah story. I had a client that that recently won the lottery, but wasn't really wanting to win the lottery, didn't even care. But that was part of his becoming. And the kind of like the exclamation point or the validation was winning the lottery, because he could care less. You can do this. Everyone can do it. This is not hard, and this is where we're headed, you guys. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go through what is life trying to tell us. It's trying to tell us that it's time to go outside of time. It's trying to tell us that in order to be the creative beings that we were born to be, the way to create is not only to create upon the problems that are happening in the world, but we ourselves are creations. And to disappear and reappear to ourselves, which matches exactly what happens in your 75 trillion cells with your 100 trillion atoms that have electrons and protons. That doing that is, falling in love with the unknown will transcend your need for courage. That's what I'm saying. Being unknown to yourself and having your future be unknown to you. If we can all do this, it doesn't mean you're just going to be in the unknown all the time. This is going to be a process. Sonia asked me before we got on, she said, Jennifer, if you say it's going to be a process, it sounds like it takes time. Doesn't that go against everything you're talking about? And what I said to her, smart as she is, and what I said to her is this: yeah, but we're in a bridge right now. Some people can do this automatically, but for the most part, for us, it's like we kind of got to grok what that means for us and get out of the way of it. And it's going to take some unwinding of what it is that we were doing and some activating more of really understanding what it takes, and then calibrating, practicing so that you have confidence in yourself to be able to do it. Because if you don't, you're going to blow your friggin' nervous system if you do it all at once. in this time-space reality.
Can I just share something? You mentioned the
David.
bridge.
Yeah.
And there's a beautiful Jewish saying, religious saying, that says, life is but a narrow bridge, and it's up to us not to be afraid.
There you go. Perfect. Couldn't have said it better. Thank you, David Cohen.
You're welcome, Jennifer.
So this is what happens. So there's this beautiful little, and I'll post this. It's a reel by Carolyn Corey. It's from Omnium Universe. They did some studies around the human brain of when we're actually completely aligned. When we're actually completely aligned, what happens is there's a coherence or a 0 point that happens in the middle of our brain, and it lights up. Is that just crazy? The middle of your brain lights up. So if any of you channel or you go deep into intuition, what happens is you'll disappear to yourself, and the middle of your brain starts lighting up because of the coherence and the 0 point. It transcends your synapses. Your synapses will no longer be thinking you. Your habituations will no longer be thinking of you. You'll be going direct. So I am talking about this, but I'm talking about this in a way because, so here's the thing from my heart to yours. I know you guys are all bridge builders. I know you are. I know you have ideas. I know you have things that you're up to that are going to help humanity. Put up your hand if you know that I'm talking to you. You know it. You know what you're doing matters, right? Exactly. Cindy, I don't see your hand up, but I know it's true. So you have bridges to build. Maybe not alone, maybe with other people. But those bridges that you are building matter to me because I'm all about the physics of change and helping people with movements and change. And if I, in these times of frickin' ridiculous polarity, can help the bridge builders of the world that's to come to actually get there in a way that transcends space and time, because I know that it doesn't have to take long. Nothing has to take long. So because you guys are who you are, it calls me, just like for your clients and the people that you help, I promise you that sense of urgency that you have inside is your people calling you. They're wanting what you're bringing to the world. The urgency inside is not your ego. Maybe for some of you it is, partially. Like, I just have to matter. That would be what your ego sounded like. But sometimes you have this irrational sense of urgency that you don't know why this idea you have matters so much. And I want you to know that I am very clear that it is literally, actually you who call me to build the bridges to physics and the practicalities of how we do this. And to bring it to you, to be able to, have this masterclass, to have you be activated to what's possible. It's going to be built over time, but this is what I'm up to because I'm not interested in people. It's like, oh, if I can just feel a little bit better. That is the booby prize. I'm not interested in helping you with the booby prize. Okay. This is about living in the overflow of who you came here to be. And all the tools are right here. The last thing that life is telling us right now is about uncertainty. It's telling us that everything is uncertain, and that falling in love with the mystery, which you can't unless you understand what the mystery is, and you make the mystery less. I mean, you can't understand the mystery by definition. But how the mystery happens, you can understand. And if you can understand that, then even though you don't know fully what's coming, if you understand how it all happens, all of a sudden the mind can be at peace and you become receptive to what's next and what's next. And that little electron disappearing and coming back with the new information, you'll actually be able to hear it. This is about your cellular knowing, you guys. I am so not interested and having, oh, I just had an intuition. Intuition, dudes, nanosecond by nanosecond, the entirety of consciousness is talking to you through 75 billion cells that have 100 trillion atoms per cell that are all receiving, disappearing into consciousness and coming back. Intuition once a day. Are you kidding me? Right? So we get to actually live in that knowing. Do you know if you string a bunch of intuitions together fast enough, you just get channeling? Do you get what I'm saying? That's why I love channeling, because it's like the light in the middle of my brain lighting up. But we can all do that. And who knows that you already have moments of channeling when you're in your thing and your flow and your jam, right? So I just explained it to you. Isn't that cool? It's like you've been, and now the dream is dreaming you. So what is needed? And then we'll do our Q&A. So Sonia, so listen, you guys, I'm not going to, I know there's a lot of master classes that spend a lot of time selling you something. So when you understand physics, generally selling something doesn't make sense. And I'll tell you why. Because there's just a resonation. Like, we're doing a program that's coming up called Reset and Renew. And Reset and Renew starts on December 28th. And it happens for 3 hours, starting at 11:11 on December 28th. And we basically reset. And we reset, we've just recognized, so there are 12 steps, okay? 12 steps to this journey we're talking about, to build this bridge we're talking about, okay? We've done the first 3 steps. We've done recognizing the field that we're in and the contrast that already exists in the field. We haven't done it for you individually yet, but we've done it for the field. That's how we know what's coming in 2026. The second is, what is it trying to tell us? And we just went through what it's trying to tell us. For the world at large, which is the environment in which you swim, which is what will give you, we haven't done it individually yet, but we can do that. And then the third step is to understand the steps it takes to build that bridge when you're on the pioneering edge of shifting the way we shift. On the pioneering edge of shifting the way we shift, activate, calibrate, and embodiment are not this huge amount of time-based thing. That time shrinks slower and slower and slower. Kind of like if you have enough intuitions about something you're passionate about, eventually you just start to channel if you string them long enough. And you'll find that you channel mostly about the things you're passionate about. It doesn't happen on other subjects. But what if we could just recreate that on all subjects? So those are the steps, okay? The other 12, does anyone actually want to hear the other 9 steps? They want to hear the other 9 steps? I could tell you. Okay, why not? Okay. I mean, we don't have to talk about them. But I'm not going to talk about them. I'm just going to tell you what they are. So the first one is disassembling the old operating system to actually reassemble it, let's say, quantumly. We're getting rid of all the residue. That's what we do on December 28th. Step 5 is we're also looking at your individual patterns, right? And what we're doing is we're updating your inner physics. We're actually kind of doing what we did briefly with Robert, but we're doing that with everyone and with a lot of individuals. We're going to be the perfect example to update multiple things for the whole. So we're going to do that together. We're going to align your energy and biology and purpose. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to so then I'm going to give you a little bit of embodiment homework. It's not work. You'll love it. It's awesome. And that homework is to practice, to calibrate yourself, okay, to your new way of being. So we've cleared the decks. Now we're calibrating ourselves. So now we're moving into January 4th. And on January 4th, after the energetic year has shifted, you know, there's billions of people all over the world celebrate, not everyone, but it is a huge energetic shift to leap over January 1st. So after you have time to embody, we're going to be available to a whole new conversation. And that new conversation in step 7 is about designing your 2026 trajectory based on the physics of flow in the new operating system, which we'll talk about. Step 8 is about receptivity, not learning how to let things in. That is mental. Letting in is in the old paradigm. I'm talking about being in a state of receptivity as a way of being. Step 9 is creating a nervous system stability for big leaps. So imagine some big things they are going to happen next year. I absolutely, I've seen it in the field. So these big, huge leaps are going to happen on money, definitely on computing, and for sure in politics, massive. Imagine that we create a nervous system that's so tied into the quantum field that has 0-point stability, that that's just the way you walk around. That literally nothing can take you out. Nothing can take you out. And you can still, it doesn't matter what happens. You can still play with everything and nothing takes you out. So that's step 9. It's going to be my favorite step of that program. Seriously. I see you nodding, Cindy. Okay. So step 10 is moving without forcing. So the decisions become cleaner, the outcomes accelerate. And I don't mean accelerate like everything moves faster, like in an egoic way. I mean, just it becomes more fulfilling and enjoyable because you can feel the cleanness and the lack of doubt. It's like your energy will compound. It might happen exactly the same speed, but your ability to actually receive what's happening shifts. And it becomes more fun because you're not in the way and overthinking it, right? Step 11 is being able to fine tune your field as the big shifts happen. Like imagine that you could shift as the shifts happen. I'm going to say that's my second favorite one, honestly, because if you can shift as the shifts happen, then, you know, come on, right? That just keeps you in the flow. And the last one, I'm going to call it step 12, which is really about when I talked to Cindy about that immersion, that immersion of yourself that's consistently happening, and really being able to stay present to it in an ongoing way. So the first 3 steps give relief, just like what we were talking to Cindy about. And that's what you said to Cindy, which is very cool. The next 3 give actual skill sets that are different from the skill sets you've ever used. And the final 6 are about anchoring in to who you are. And then what happens, because we don't want to do those final 6 and leave you hanging, because again, everything we do isn't so much about, like, I'm not really interested, honestly, in kind of like, I've done it in programs where you have all these changes and then you're kind of left like, oh my God, who am I? And what do I do with this thing that I have now created? So what we do in the end is we have a Q&A session, which is usually the juiciest part of the entire thing. Because everyone's like, oh my God, this happened. And oh my God, that happened. And I want to know what it means when this, and how come that, and da-da-da-da-da. So it gets really super juicy in the Q&A. The program is called Reset and Renew. And we ended our early bird, a special price, which was $88 a couple of days ago, I think on the 15th. But because you guys took the time to be here, we just wanted to say thank you. So we're going to, until the 21st, we're still taking the $100 off. So today and tomorrow. So Sonia is posting Reset and Renew, the link, and also the code to be able to get $100 off. Sonia, do you have that?
Oh yeah, I've been posting it already while you were chatting away.
Oh, well, never mind. She's been posting it already while I've been chatting away. So, so you guys, please make sure you register if you were part of Flight School, which is a year-long program that we do. then you're going to get it for free. You probably already got the welcome emails. And if you're part of Activate or Calibrate, which is part of our community, you probably already got the welcome emails. Okay. But for those of you that are new to us, I just, if you're up to something in the world, this will put you way out ahead of what's going on in the world. And you know, I've told you I am all about whatever you're all about, to be able to bring that to fruition with some efficiency and some joy and some fulfillment in the process so that you're in your presence. And we're going to do some pretty cool quantum things. Pretty darn cool.
Jen,
Yes.
as you continue and as we're wrapping up,
Yes.
Joan has an awesome question in the chat, which I love how she's thinking, because it's like me earlier with the time thing. So how is designing 2026 not about setting expectations?
I love that. Oh my God. Okay.
Right?
But I'm
I
going to declare, because we started a couple of minutes late, so we're ending a couple of minutes late. I'm going to declare this part of our journey over, Sonia. Okay. This part of our journey is over. And I want to I would love to hear from you guys. Can you please type in, what did you get from today? I want to hear. What did you get from today? And by the way, I'm asking this strategically. Trust me. It's so funny how people are. It's like, okay, it's over. She's not going to teach anymore. No, like I told you, you guys know this already. When you're on Q&As, all the juicy shit starts coming out in the Q&As, right? So we're going to do another 15, 20 minutes of Q&A. But what I want to ask is, what did you get? What did you hear that you needed to hear? And this is my diabolical plot for world peace, okay? By you actually sharing and typing in what you got, you're actually deepening your relationship to what you got, because you have to think about it and then express it in words in typing. So you're going to get it more deeply. And my diabolical plot is all about embodiment. So even just typing it out, you guys, be for yourself. Do the things that allow you, even if, I remember I used to be in courses and I used to be arrogant. It's like, oh, I know all this stuff already, or whatever. And then I wouldn't do it. And I'm like, no, I am going to be generous with myself and with others. And I'm just going to type out what I got. Damn it. So it just deepens it. So everybody breathe. Thank you. Big picture and shift happening in general. Good. Zara Rose got to exhale. I feel like Amma, of course you're on purpose. Here's the thing, you guys, you can't not be. David, the change we are going through is a bit, yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. Yeah, Lauren, feeling aligned. You go, dude. Oh, you're in purple fish. There's a couple of purple fish here. You're also getting it at no charge. I just wanted to let you know. But the rest of you are getting it like $100 less. So it's awesome. Caroline, I love it. Purpose is an evolution, not a destination. It isn't. There's no purpose that you get to. You're on purpose, Caroline. You're totally on purpose. You're becoming who you really are, which is totally on purpose to the next evolution of what you do. 1 bajillion%. Sherry, I love that you got more about what I'm teaching. Sherry has a really deep connection, like Joan does, to Bucky Fuller, who's one of my guides. So, of course he is, right, Robert? And so, okay. So you guys, I declare our masterclass complete. And now we are going to go into the questions, of which Joan's was brilliant. So Joan, would you like to read it yourself?
Yeah, well, I can just say it. I mean, when you said designing your 2026 trajectory based on your new operating system, to me, that sounded like setting expectations for 2026. So I mean, your whole thing is letting things unfold and getting out of the way. So how is designing
Yes.
not plopping yourself right in the way of what is to evolve despite you?
It's a great question, right, you guys? Like, how is that true? How do we actually let ourselves reconcile goals and what we're talking about here? Well, here's the
Lovely.
deal, you guys. When you set, I'm going to ask you guys, how do you think you guys are smarty pantses? Write it in. I know what consciousness tells me and shows me, but I'd love to know how you guys reconcile goals and being in the present moment and do it. Because it could sound like you're just a flake, right? If I show up at 4 o'clock for this workshop or I show up at 4:10, who cares? I felt like showing up at 4:10. You know what I mean? Like you could just live your life that way. I just could do whatever feels, whatever, right?
Well, I would say I have a whole actually goal setting exercise, and I just did it for my birthday, which we can talk about. But
So hold on,
what
hold on, Joan. I want to give people just spaciousness to be able to answer. Hold on 1 second before you say. Just put in a few answers, you guys. 1 second, Joan. I got you. Heading in the right direction. I don't set goals, but I get general ideas. Don't attach. Measurable goals are stupid for me to try to set. Lauren's like reconciling goals is a mental fixation-y kind of thing. Okay, so here's the thing. And then Joan, you jump in after I share this, okay? So here's the thing, you guys, around goals. And expectations are a separate thing from goals. I'm going to talk about goals. There is a dream that's dreaming you. You have set into motion through your entire 2025 a future set of potentials that already exist in the field. Every time you've had a problem or an inspiration because of the laws of physics, of entanglement, you can't have the problem without the solution or the inspiration without all the ways of unfolding it. And so if that is true, then what happens when we set goals? I'm going to use a little example from a past. We used to teach a program called Get Out of Your Way. Now it's on record in our community and anyone can watch it. It's awesome. But in Get Out of Your Way, probably in maybe the third or maybe the fifth or sixth one that I did, there was this woman that came in. Her name was Anna or Mary or something like that. And every day she drove a specific vehicle. The first day I talked about how physics worked, not to the degree that I know now. My God, I knew nothing back then. And I also know I know nothing now. We all know nothing now. It's just getting juicier and juicier all the time. I love being in the mystery of that. But back then I was still in the mystery. And she came in on the second day I had described physics, and she goes, she had just listened to, I think way back then, she had just listened to The Secret, and she's like, oh my God, look at what I manifested. I not only manifested and there was a week between courses. So she came back the next week, and her son, she said, look what I manifested. My son he was cleaning out my office, and he found my vision board. And she whips open this vision board. And this vision board is from 5 years ago when I was working with John Asraf. I did this amazing vision board. And look, there's a red Ford F-150 on the vision board. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And she goes, look at the car I drove. And she is driving a Ford F-150 red car. And I said to her, that's amazing. And I said, why do you think that happened? She said, because I manifested it. And I said, no, that's not how it works. So I said to her, your consciousness already knew that you were purposefully on the trajectory of a red Ford F-150. And in the stack of magazines that you had, you opened to the right page because your consciousness and you were already in cahoots. And you manifested a picture of what was coming anyways. It had nothing to do with your intention. Your life is a living intention. You're living it every day. And the universe and the resources of the infinite are always, always bringing forth that which would match you. And that was a natural trajectory you were already heading. And she goes, whoa, that's amazing. And I said, you have no idea how loved you are. You are loved beyond measure, right, Joy? You are just loved beyond measure. It's incredible. You're in a dance constantly, but human beings in our arrogance, I mean, we're a funny lot. We think we're so important. You guys, your life is a walking intention. Every step you make every day is an intention. You don't need to intend with your mind. In fact, the more you intend with your mind and get attached to it, i.e., some people set goals this way. I want to do this and I want to do that and I must do it, or I don't prove my father wrong, or whatever the case may be. So, and some people hold their vision boards as expectations. So when you do a vision board, or when you set goals, or when you, I'm not going to, a goal is not an expectation. So, Joan, that's the distinction. This is not about, you don't have to expect what you put as your list of goals. Just because you have goals doesn't mean you need to expect them. Because what happens on that vision board is put all the pictures in the first third of the vision board, right? Like here, pictures, pictures, pictures. I'll show you a picture of what I'm doing. Pictures, first third of the vision board, okay? And then on the bottom part of your vision board, the last third, you're either going to be Joan and say, and beyond, or you're going to put, or better. That is what transcends your attachment because you're connected to the resources of the infinite. You would, just because your brain happened to catch up with the Ford F-150, great idea, good goal, right? But in the end, it's like, or better. She got all sorts of, what do you call them when you get all the bells and whistles on your truck? Whatever they're called.
Options.
Yeah.
Options.
Yeah, she got all these options and she got them for free. And, like, so those are all the or betters. But so imagine, you guys, that when you're setting goals, it's just what you're a vibrational match to, that you would be willing, that you have the availability to be able to achieve it, or you wouldn't be able to imagine it, because the goals you're setting, if you can bring those goals through, that's what you're a vibrational match for. That's what you're a frequency match for so far. You get me? And if your goals at the beginning of the year, that's your vibrational match so far. Imagine what you're doing, Joan, when you set those, when you write them down, that they're not like, you're more interested in the or better than you are in the goal. Because if you brought through that goal, you're already pretty close to being a vibrational match to getting that thing done anyways. Because you brought it through, kind of like the Ford F-150. She already was a vibrational match. She put it on her vision board. So do you get what I'm saying?
I think the other thing that I would say is having first of all, where you still have to take steps to achieve something, right? So it doesn't just manifest because you are and you breathe.
Yes.
So setting the goal gets your mind focused on it, gets
And
the
has
process, has you,
yes.
thinking about the steps that you
Well, not just
take,
thinking,
and then
dude. Yeah, you're taking the steps,
just
right?
take, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, it's interesting because I ended up being invited to a conference in Amsterdam, Marielle. Sorry, I didn't know you were there when I was there. And I ended up connecting with a former client who now is bringing me back into his new organization. I had no idea that was going to, I mean, that's
You
a total
didn't.
or better.
So in other words, you
But my
guys, you can't intend it, but she might have intended at the beginning of the year, I'd like to go to X number of conferences, or I'd like to go to this conference and that conference and this conference. And so, yeah.
really what it was I really liked working with this individual, and I'd like to work with more people like that.
Yep.
And the universe presented him in a different context, in an actual, a major
Well,
or better.
I'm actually going to say that you presented yourself with it. But I'm going to leave this subject, Joan. I appreciate you because we only have 20 minutes for these questions. So appreciate you, dude. Yeah, it's a perfect example. The person just shows up non-linearly, kind of at right angles to what you're actually thinking you're doing, right? And
And I look
yeah.
And I look forward to what you're going to say about expectations, because there's a fine line. You and I have talked about this before, between goals and intention and list of wants in any situation, and expectations that can actually hold you back.
So expectations are basically things where your amygdala makes up an attachment to the goals that you've set, because there's some kind of danger, probably subconscious, sometimes conscious, about not achieving them. So, but I want to make sure we go to the next questions. I also want to talk about actions, because I see here you, Kathleen. Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beautiful? Are you there? Kathleen, can you come live for a second there, beau Are you here?
Yes.
Are you not here? Hey, Kathleen.
Hi. Hi.
How are you, gorgeous? So you said, for me, it is about action. Absolutely it is. Because your intention just happens in the ethers. Action brings your intention into life, and that's when consciousness knows that you're serious. That's when consciousness, that's you taking a dance step. Have you ever danced before, Kathleen?
Yes.
Have you ever partner danced?
Yes.
I kind of had a feeling you did, which is why I was asking you. So, and in your part, what kind of partner dancing do you do?
Well,
Did you
that's
do, or
funny.
do you do?
This is my year to learn how to tango.
That is so funny. Of course it is, right? Okay. So I was just doing the Argentine tango a month ago. No kidding.
Woo!
Yeah, no, girl. Okay. So listen, here's the thing about dancing. All right. By the way, this is what happens, you guys. This is what happens when you're in the field. When you're in the field, the perfect person says the perfect thing, and then it catches your attention, and then you want to talk to them about dancing, and of course, they're taking dance classes. You understand? That's how it happens. So, Miss Kathleen, here's the cool thing about what you said. When you're dancing in a partner dance, someone basically, when someone, the lead, takes a step, the follower actually has to take a step too, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now, have you ever seen jitterbug or those kinds of dances? They're fun,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When people are doing those dances, have you ever seen or West Coast swing or something like that? Have you ever seen the person who's not leading improvise?
Sure.
Okay. That's another type of video I watch, you guys, when I want to just have a mental break. So there's my other escape. So imagine, Kathleen, that when people are doing the West Coast swing and in most cases, the woman is improvising, the man then gets inspired and he does, like I see it happen all the time. And so do you get that can happen?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so this is what I'm saying. It isn't until you take a step, not an intention in the universe. It's like the least effective. It is the least effective way to dance with the universe is to just intend. The most effective way to dance with the universe is actually to tango with the universe. Exactly what you said. It's cool, right?
It's very cool.
That's another shift in conscious. Remember how I said the way we shift is shifting?
Yes.
Like intentions are so last year.
I love that. I
It's
really do.
yeah, it's really about being dreamt by the dream and taking the steps. And that's the living version of your intention. Be a living intention, a living, breathing, three-dimensional intention. So, yeah. Question, Kathleen, you good?
I'm all good. Thank you.
I
That
am
was
so happy that you posted that, dude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Beautiful. Thank you, lovely. Okay. And finally, Amy K. What you got there, girl?
So my question is how do you put like feelings into this? Like, can I just say, oh, I just want to feel this way in 2026 and just
No, no. Because I want to feel this way in 2000. Okay. I love.
like how do you
How do you ask this woman? I don't know how you just, that is such a perfect question for where we're at. No kidding. What I'm saying is, because you're talking about, I want to feel this way, as though feeling this way is in the future. Because if
right,
you want
like
to, it sounds like you're not doing it now, right?
right, kind of like future activate the feeling for next year in a way.
Well, there's about five concepts to kind of break down, which I think you're going to be in reset and renew. So without teaching the whole program, I'm going to tell you that it's not that. because future activating the way we have been, future activating for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's like a little bit what, it's a little bit Joe Dispenza-y because, and just our version of that, which we've been teaching a long time. And it's about having your body catch up to the biology by going and talking about the future like it's happening now. I hope you got that. But the evolution of that, Amy, is not that. We're not going to be future activating it. We're going to, it's already transcended that. So even what we taught last year is not going to be what we teach this year because it's not going to
Yep.
work.
Yeah, that doesn't even seem like the right language for it, but that's the language I
Right.
know.
Yeah. I get it. It's not that. So what we're going to do is we're going to, I mean, the best word is reset. We're going to reset the blueprint to an upgraded version based on what the quantum field became from the askings of this year so that we're in the alignment of the trajectory we're going to go on starting on January 1st. So the first step is we're going to do that because if the environment of your energetics and your understanding of that blueprint hasn't been caught up, then your question can't even be answered. So you need the context first, right?
Mm.
And then after you get the context, the next step is to actually do some stuff with the parallel versions of you that are already in that place, dude. And yeah, and actually have the experience of her real time, but much more quickly than a future activation would do, and in a very specific way. It's like a technology that got given to me based on, you know me, I'm just like relentlessly curious like you. And so based on my curiosity, I just saw like, oh, we can't do it that way anymore because it's not going to work. So we have to keep evolving with the evolutions. And then after that, there's a relationship. Okay. So to really cause momentum, I would say, Amy, which is kind of implicit. It's like not only have you embodied it, but you're in momentum in this new way of being. You know what I mean?
Right.
To actually cause some momentum and some fun with it, what we're going to do probably more on the January 4th class is we're going to actually teach you more, teach you, show you, have the experience of would be the most accurate. Have the experience of the what it's like to shift on the fly and to be calibrated to exponential change, so much so that you're not even willing to try to control things anymore. Let me say that again because I know this specifically speaks to you. You're probably inside going, yes. For anyone who has a control gene in your body, I'm going to tell you this is a good one. Not that I do, ha ha ha. But so the third thing we're going to do, so this will be on January 4th, is we're going to cause a sort of quantum leap in your relationship to change so that change doesn't cause anyone to go into overwhelm or trying to control or lone wolf or even some people just like disappear and just go away and don't talk because it's just all too much. So imagine that we're bigger than the amount of change, that we're already bigger than that. So that's what we're going to do the third way. So I know I didn't answer your question, but I have to teach you the entire course in order to answer your question. So, but does that make sense at least? Did we activate it?
something because my eyes started going wonky, and that
Okay.
means something's hitting.
Yeah. 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 I love that. So,
Thank you.
oh, thank you. And David, I really want to answer your question, dude. Um, are you here still, my dear friend?
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, David.
Yeah, so it was just such a crappy year, and now I'm thinking that after tonight,
Yeah.
maybe I manifested it to get me to move into this new thing that I'm creating.
Okay. So, dude, I want to, as soon as you ask this question, I'm like, my whole body, first of all, is vibrating because I feel like I had this conversation with one of my one-on-one clients, the last one I had before I came here. And I feel like
Okay.
that whole conversation, of course it was for her, but I feel like I had that conversation just for you.
Hmm.
So, and it's not just for you, obviously. Everyone, this is kind of like, for those of you that have gone through years, it doesn't mean it was last year, but that you've gone through years where a lot went down.
Yeah.
I know 2026, a lot's going to go down, but because of my relationship to time and physics, it doesn't equal crappy. Okay. So, because I'm going to explain to you why. Because, so this beautiful client, God, ugh, I've been working with her for 2.5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And she even said to me today, she said, Jennifer, I thank God because she's going through, and I don't want to divulge what she's going through, but she's going through something that for most people, it would be so scary, like really scary, like, end up in a prison in a foreign country scary, right? Like really scary. And she's like this innocent, really, she's got like such a pure heart. She's such a good human. But what happened was, because like many, it's not just her. I don't want to tell her specific story, but this mirrors many people's stories, which is especially people that I tend to work with. They have just like really, really good hearts. They're really born with the passion inside, like you, Dave. And they want to make the biggest difference they can. And it's authentic. It's like in their cells, it's to their toes, top of their head, it's coming out their toenails. And so for her, she just really had this authentic business idea. And what she did, because she was so excited, is that she had something happen when she was younger that was pretty traumatizing. And it kept her in a level of innocence, at a younger age, let's say 5, 6, 7, 8, that had her never develop that sort of dragon like oversight and the badassery of a dragon, where it's like you're still a fairy, but you don't have your dragon. And the dragon can see everything and has a massive bullshit meter, right? It can literally feel when things are out of alignment. And she never developed that. It never came because of something traumatic that happened. And so she ran her business, in the United States of America, and where I am. And she ran that business without kind of an awareness. She just had her trust wide open, like everyone's good and everyone means well and everyone, all that kind of stuff. And then, so we're having a conversation today, and this scary thing is happening directly as a result. You get me? Directly as a result. And she was, as many people are, it's like, well, why did that happen? And how come these people? And, da, 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 da. And I said, listen, dude, the universe is giving you, and I feel the same way for you, Dave, that holographically, it's kind of along the lines of what you said, but I want to deepen your relationship to your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
I said to her, the reason it's happened this way and it continues to poke at you is because until you understand that it's important to grow up that 5-year-old or whatever it is for whomever, until you get to the place where you're fully in your presence, where you are a dragon and a fairy. That's why I love dragonflies. Dragonflies represent dragon and fairy to me, right? So Until you are, and that's why a lot of people like dragonflies, until you are both the dragon with the oversight and the truth telling and the badassery, and a fairy who's got the willingness to be knowing of people's hearts and to be creative and to play, those two must marry. And I said to her, until you actually take full responsibility for the magnetics that created this situation on your half, it doesn't mean that other people didn't have magnetics too. It doesn't mean that other people don't do things too. It doesn't mean that the world's not falling apart in a hell in a handbasket. It
Yeah,
doesn't
it
mean
is.
any of that. There's all sorts of crap happening.
Yeah.
But but we give permission to those things to affect us. We are still driving. Whatever happens in our life and the way we perceive it and whatever happens is trying to literally wake us up so that we can flow. So my wondering, Dave, is maybe what happened was going to happen anyways this year. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
Well, it's also happening with other people too, right?
Right. And so, but my question is, if you're recreating your life moment by moment and you're not even giving your power away to that kind of shit is happening to other people too. And you are looking at why not why, because we don't analyze, but there's some pretty big way of being shifts. I mean, literally in Reset on December 28th, that's where we're going to go. All these kinds of things, because you cannot have these coming into
I can't be my old
2026.
self.
No. Yeah, I know what you mean. And so
I
what
got to
we're going to,
step into a leadership role now.
yeah. So what we're going to do on the 28th is actually look at these kinds of things, but because for everyone individually, we're actually going to take you through a series of exercises. But I want to give you, it's important. It is so important to clear the decks this particular year. So, my dear, and next year as well is going to be the same thing. So, for you, does it relate to? I'm just going to ask a question. I'm just going to kind of like poke the bear and send you down the wormhole. Does it relate to some like second guessing yourself, doubt, and putting other people first to some degree?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's my clue to you, Dave, because you really want to get the deepest part of that, because I know that but you really want to be in completion of that in a way that has none of the tendrils or the shadows of it just lingering. And then we go back to what I said to Amy, because the next step of what I just said is whatever I said to Amy is the evolution of that. But that you brought it up means that you've got the first step done. You've already activated that it's possible, because you wouldn't even ask about it if it wasn't possible. And the fact that it's possible and you asked about it means that it's right there and ready. It's literally, it's like me. I have one too. The one that's up to leave that I'm going to put in the exercise on the 28th is, and maybe some of you guys relate to this, is around actually a very similar thing, Dave. It's actually a very similar thing, slightly skewed, but it has to do with giving permission to other people's truths to supersede my own knowing. So it has to do with having my knowing not matter. And you got to know, it's like I do this for a living. My knowing not matter? That is freaking weird, dude. Like, how can my knowing? But because I do this to go to the next level and do that, part of the thing is I want to do that project. Well, I am doing that project with Nigel. And because I'm doing that and I'm taking the action, like we just said to Kathleen, the very taking of the action necessarily brings up the thing that would be in the way. Right? Because I took action and I'm headed in that direction, this beingness has to move. Having my words matter less, which is a version of putting everyone else first. So it's a slightly different though.
I just let go of my accountability buddy because it's not moving anywhere.
I love it.
He's not real. He's like, I said, you're not authentic. Life's
Well,
sticky and messy. Like, dude.
but here's
come to
the
me.
thing, Dave. Remember that you're responsible for attracting that human. It's
Right.
it's not about him, right? So
Yeah.
because you're shifting, you actually developed what I call divine intolerance, and you're divinely intolerant to something that doesn't match the frequency that you're headed. So you
Yeah.
said bye-bye. But that's not about him or anything wrong with
No,
you.
no, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Good
I
luck.
love it.
I wish
So
him well.
thanks, Dave.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
bringing. Yeah, you're not alone in this. By the way, for how many people talking to the last couple of people, it was helpful. You're glad that yeah, it's helpful, right? So you guys, I thank you. Our Q&A is over. If you, I cannot tell you, this conversation is good, but but we get practical in your life in Reset and Renew. So just let yourself have the evolution. You'll see how life-changing it is to go over the new year in a way that actually is representative of how consciousness feels over a new year. And then you'll be in alignment with all that is. And that alignment will cause that middle of your brain to light up. So for those of you that are joining us, I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. And again, I'd love for you to share right now anything that you heard in the Q&A. Remember what I said, when you share it by typing it in, it deepens for you. So share what you got out of the Q&A, you guys, that meant something to you. So the other 9 parts of the process are what we're going to do in Reset and Renew, because that's really the embodiment piece. We have to get very specific. We don't have to, but certainly in order to reset, there's some specificity to your individual journey that we're going to do. And I want you to know that we're always about aligning to how to live a life of or betters. So that operating system is all about January 4th. I want you to know that as you're moving forward with this homework, the homework of which is, please let yourself drop into awareness of like a dream that might be dreaming you. It's like a little idea, a little whiff, or maybe it's not such a little whiff, but it just hasn't happened yet. But you keep getting flashes of this version of yourself, or this version of a project, or this version of a relationship, or a version of the end of a relationship, or a version of money, or a version of, I don't care. This little whiff, this little, kind of like little shadow, little fairy dust, kind of maybe in the background. Before we do Reset and Renew, I want you to bring that list with you. Maybe it's 2 things. Could be about your health. I remember having this imagining a couple of years ago, and actually it's happening, which is kind of cool. It's happening right now. I just did one of these exercises. This is the beginning of an exercise. That's why I want you to kind of get prepped for Reset and Renew. The beginning of that exercise that we're going to do is to actually let yourself get present to the things that just pass by you, and you just let them pass by and go, oh, not now, or that can't happen, or that's not me, or, when the kids grow up, when the kids leave the house, when I have enough money, but this thing keeps coming up for you. Might be about your health, might be about what you want to do with your time. It might be about, your evolving purpose, might be about any of that stuff. Yeah. And then I want you to make a list. It could be 10 things. But if you have 10 things or 12 things, Star the three that have the most passion for you. Okay, star the three that have the most passion for you. Passion is your clue that you're in alignment with the universe, and that 0 point light is going to light up in your brain as you start pursuing it. Then bring that list to reset and renew. That will be the basis of the processes that we're going to go through. Come on now. Okay. So is this helpful, you guys? I just want to read through what you're getting. Kathleen, for me, it's about, oh, no. I'm reading something from the past. So let's see. I love that some of you are joining Reset and Renew. I wish you could all come. Well, I know you all can come. By the way, if you're like, I don't know if I can come, just email support@thewideawakening.com, or you can ask Sonia right now. Wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. And Marielle, we are doing it naturally, but it happens far more easily when we can give it language for most people. Some people are very etheric to begin with, and so they don't grab a hold of it. But most people will bump up against a glass ceiling. So for you, some people, there are a couple of people in my sphere who just live this way. That's just the way they are. So for them, it is simple. It just depends on the person. But when we give it language, it becomes exponential, and exercises, it becomes exponentially easier. It is incredibly simple. Actually, in response to your question, this process is incredibly simple. The problem is that we are so overcomplicated that to get to the point of the simplicity of how this works is what the issue is. So at one point, this will become our new normal, and we won't even think of it like complicated. And that's exactly it, Lauren. Our minds make it complicated. You got it. So calibrate people, get Reset and Renew covered. I love Divine Intolerance too, Marielle. Let's just see. What else did you guys get? Joy, you know you're here to help people learn. Sylvia, that you have to listen to the replay because your mind went on vacation in the question and answer portion. That's okay. Cindy, I am so excited to be on this journey with you. Yes. Yeah. I imagine. Yeah. Yes. Imagining is really tapping into consciousness and bringing into your mind what's already real. It's already real, you guys. You can't imagine something that's not real. Lauren, you're loving the goal discussion. And Katerina, very excited about integrating on the go. You go, girl. So yeah, me too. I am very excited about that too. So I hope you enjoyed today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this masterclass. Was it fun? Did you get some stuff? Yeah. Thanks for being here, Sugar Plums. I know some of you have been listening to our solstice series on Facebook and in our community. We're kind of doing a little solstice process as a warm-up act to Reset and Renew. So for all of you in Reset and Renew, that will actually assist. The second thing is I just wish all of you in this time of solstice and this time of great change and the time of speeding up of the great change, I just wish you all an expanded version of appreciation for this crazy world, that it actually is heavenly flow that's happening. We swung the pendulum swung pretty far on the contrast side lately. but the contrast is still birthing all sorts of beautiful things. And the better you are at basically being in your presence, which that's what we're going to unpack. The better you are at that, at what we're going to teach at Reset and Renew, as you embody a new way of being, what's going to happen is going to allow you in these years to come to understand that anyone can live that life of flow truly. This is resetting you into ease and flow. So for this year, as we're coming to the end, there's lots of energy moving. We had 12/12, December 12th. We had 11/11 in November. We have the upcoming solstice, which is about being in the northern hemisphere. By the way, there's some people here from New Zealand and Australia. In the northern hemisphere, it has to do with having the actual physical light go dim so that you can experience the information that's in the other light, because there's a whole spectrum of light that you can't be present to, or you aren't present to as much. And when it goes dark, there's an asking to drop in to the rest of the spectrums of light, which is what we're talking about today. So know that this discussion was really important, and that the coupon code for Reset and Renew is only available until the 21st, until the actual solstice. Okay, so please come and play. We would love to see you there. And yeah, I'd love to be with your energy again. And just thank you. Thank you so much. And we're going to do a little symbolic act that we do at the end of some of our programs, our already programs. If everyone can think of a word that you want to activate for this solstice, like a word that wants you, a word that's dreaming you, a good word, like a good activating word, okay? If everyone can think of that word, we're going to unmute and we're going to create a big old activation of awesomeness by saying it out loud together, okay? So everybody unmute. You ready? All right, everyone unmute. You got your word? Wait a second, on the count of three. On the count of three. On the count of three. Okay. Okay. You ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Sure.
Magnificent.
I love it. Awesome. Okay, you guys, that's what we get to finish with. And until the next time, big hugs. Thank you, everyone. Bye,
Thank you,
Simona.
everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
Kathleen. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Carolyn. Bye, Candace. Bye, guys.